but we'll know when it comes to an end. Welcome back to Tswalu Kalahari Reserve. My name is Dylan. We're going to have a fantastic afternoon out here this afternoon. It's great having all our usual viewers with, and any new viewers, fantastic having you on board. Thanks for joining us on your live safari in Africa. We've got a big... We don't have anything. Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Perfecto. Oh, I'm so going to. Oh, you... Fuck. Better be up in within 4 minutes.
Why?
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 Jono, where am I going to be best placed for you? I don't want to climb off. You can stand on the edge if you want. Okay. I'm going to stand to the side just so that giraffe doesn't... Just like that. Okay.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon from another glorious afternoon at Tswalu Kalahari Reserve. A big welcome to all our normal viewers and any new visitors to the show. It is just an absolute pleasure having you all with us, and it's great having you on this live safari in Africa. So we got this huge giraffe bull, and he laid down here about 15 minutes ago, and we've been watching him ever since. But it almost looks like he's on the brink of actually getting up. Every now and again he's kind of like moving his head as if he wants to stand up. So I think we're going to just stick here and just see if he actually does that. He was feeding. We were actually watching him for about half an hour before, and he was moving all along this area, feeding. Then he walked over to that tree where that old weaver nest is hanging down in the background there, just behind him, and he went to lay down. If you've got any questions, please feel free, engage with us, ask us, and like I always say, if we don't know the answers, I'm sure a viewer will send an answer through to me, or I will find the answer if I have to. But it'll be really, really great if you can, feel very welcome. These game drives are, we're doing this together. It's not a one-sided thing here. But look at the size of that animal, eh? I was going to make a comment about how he's standing in a hole. But he's not. He's definitely not. It's like one of the shortest giraffe bulls I've ever seen in my life. It's difficult from that distance, actually, even if I'd made a quip like that, because it's you can't see the size of the animal or the height of the animal from that kind of distance. But it's really nice to see them lying down. I'm always surprised just how few people actually do see them lying down. So this is quite fun.
A big welcome to all our viewers. We're currently here at Ambion Ngala, and we're looking at a young elephant bull in the riverbed, and he is actually digging for water at the moment. So you'll notice him moving his trunk in that hole. And what he's probably trying to do is just dig a bit of the sand away so he can expose the water, and then pull the water up into his trunk, and then immediately from there bring it towards his mouth, and then blow it into his mouth. Let's just have a look at that. Might even use that front left foot in order to dig for the water. If you notice the last little bit of his trunk, you'll notice there's it looks like quite a dark patch. And that's probably because he might have already had his drink, and now he could just be enjoying a little bit of the wind. So from my side, I'm Nikki here at Ambion Ngala. So I'm going to be your guide this afternoon, and with me is Owen. So just heading back to this young elephant bull is so early on it looks like he might have already had a drink. So what he could do now is, like, from here, of course, he just relieved himself. Now he might just go and eventually take some of that sand and flick it onto its back in order to cool himself down. Butterfly with elephants, they're not really that shy. I think with this youngster in general, sometimes when they're young, they have a lot of confidence because they know mom is backing them. But once they get to around about this age, or just looking by his overall size, the size of his tusk, he's probably around, I would say, anywhere from 15 to 20 years old, if even 20 years old. And during this time, they do lack quite a bit of confidence, because that's when they get kicked out of the herd. And normally from here on, they'll start joining up with other elephant bulls that would act as mentors. But I would say at this probably this period in his life, he'll be a little bit more shy than as he gets older or when he was a lot younger. We can see the whole way that he's moving now as well. There were earlier on, there were quite a few tracks around, and I wonder if there's not, if there could be other elephant bulls around at the moment that he'll eventually go and join up with. It's so interesting, this whole area where this elephant is moving in. So you can see the big riverbed, it's the Timbavati River. And even though it doesn't look like there's any water, maybe a meter and a half underneath that elephant, there's quite a lot of water under the sand. You'll even notice there's quite a few bits and pieces of dung, like all scattered across this riverbed in front of us here. And that's just a good sign that the elephants have come down here to drink.
Good afternoon, everybody. Wouldn't elephants just be wonderful? I'd love to find some elephants myself this afternoon. Hi, my name is Trishal and I've got Niels on camera this afternoon. It's lovely out here on Juma in the Sabi Sands, and I've just spotted a bird. But the only problem is I spotted it with my binoculars when I wasn't even looking for the bird. So now trying to spot it in real life is a bit of a problem. It looked like a giant kingfisher. They're beautiful birds, they're black and white. And if you spot it before me, you can of course use the hashtag WildEarth and let me know. But I am trying. Like I said, warm today, 23 degrees Celsius, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So watering holes would be a good place to start. Now, I did go along Twin Dams, or rather went to Treehouse Dam, and now I'm approaching Twin Dams. Hi Liz, that's a cool question. You'd like to know, how do birds fly in gale force winds without hurting their wings? I'm just going to use Niels as my sun stopper there. They, well, would prefer not to fly in gale force winds, to be very honest, because birds use the pressure in the air in order to fly. And when it is a low pressure system or high pressure system, that is when, or high pressure system is when you have good weather, a low pressure system is when you get stormy weather. And when there's a low pressure system, the air is filled, the particles of air filled with moisture, so there's moisture everywhere. And the birds who need to create lift can't do that because there's too much moisture in the air. So they'd actually prefer not to fly in that kind of weather. But if they have to, they don't hurt themselves because their bones are not rigid like ours are. So although they would still get flown and thrown into your glass or your door and things like that, or recently at my house they got thrown into a brick wall. But it's not just because of gale force winds, and mostly they would prefer not to fly in that kind of wind at all.
Good afternoon and welcome everybody to Simbambili Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where we have a beautiful crested barbet on the floor, busy feeding. Hello everyone, my name is Steve Falconbridge, joined by BK on camera, and we are very excited to welcome you once again, all our SABC viewers, onto the show this afternoon. We are sitting on Simbambili at a wonderful little pan. Water, everybody, is the currency of life, and checking water, especially this time of year, is a very, very good way to find animals. And it's a great place to do a spot of birding. There we have got what I think is the greater blue-eared starling. You can hear them calling all around us. Yeah, there's another one on the right there in the mud. These birds all come down in the heat of the day to drink. And they often come down in groups because safety in numbers. There are lots of predatory birds around that would try and snack on these birds, and predatory cats that often will spend time trying to catch them. So we are going to spend time right here and see what other birds we can find. everybody. How is everybody doing out there? All of you wonderful cats and kittens watching the show this afternoon. It is a wonderful day. We are here on Simbambili at what's turning out to be my favourite little pan for birding at the moment. Little one-eyed pan. I'm going to sit right here and see who comes down to have a drink. There's a whole lot of starlings there that initially flew off when we arrived, and they're going to build up the courage again to shortly come down. It just takes one, and once they descend, they all come down to drink.
We followed that other elephant bull down the river, and as soon as we followed him, we saw this elephant bull on this side. So there's actually at least 2 or 3 more elephants around at the moment. But look at how this one is using that trunk to stretch up all the way to the top of that tree, then almost like a hand, grab the branch and then wrap it around that branch and pull off all those leaves. You'll see what I've noticed from him is he'll pick quite a bit of leaves and then he'll grab the grass, and the same effect. Grab it with the trunk or the end of the trunk, twist it around, break it off, and then from there move it straight towards its mouth. So Lozen, with and beyond Ngala, I mean, it is an open system where animals can move within the greater area. I mean, the greater area is over 2.5 million hectares. And the elephants in this whole area that can move anywhere will probably be around like 15,000 individuals that could move through this, or there's a potential they could move through. But I think in this area at any given point or time, there'll probably be at least over 400 elephants on the reserve. And it's so nice. I mean, here we're looking at least at 3 or 4 of those individuals. And I mean, there are quite a few bigger herds that you also find in this area that could be up to 60, maybe 70 elephants.
So we've gone from some animal that is very, very numerous in number to a bird which is incredibly sparse. There's a lovely purple roller, which I'm sure many of you have never seen before. It's one of the least common, or it is the least common roller in the whole of the Lowveld and indeed in South Africa. There's only one other, which you might see in the north, which is more rare. Beautiful purple roller. I tried to show everyone this last time, but it flew off as you came to me. But this time, it's staying still. Wonderful. I'm so glad that this magnificent bird has stuck around. Welcome to Eco Training Pridelands Conservancy. I'm Michael Anderson, and behind the camera is Gerrit. And we are going to show you everything that we can this afternoon. So far, we've been enjoying a beautiful, balmy winter's afternoon. Nice and warm, a little bit windy. We were looking for some lions. There were tracks, lots of tracks earlier on, but we did go off on foot a short time, and we really struggled. So there are other people in the area also helping us to find those lions. Maybe we'll get lucky this afternoon. Sophie is asking if the color of a bird's eye indicates whether a bird is nocturnal or not. Sophie, I'm not sure if it indicates whether a bird is nocturnal or not, but certainly the size of the bird's eye might really help to know if it's active at night. If it's got really huge eyes, it probably means that it lives and hunts or forages in darker conditions, usually evenings or nighttime. So owls, for example, have got big, huge eyes, water thickneys, also massive, massive eyes. And this is a purple roller. It is doing all of its hunting during the day and hunts for insects and sometimes even small vertebrates like mice. And it's got small dark eyes. The dark eyes probably help it when it's very, very bright and sunny. Some of the eagles, for example, have very, very orange eyes, like some of our sunglasses that we might wear. So that really helps us helps them to see in these very bright conditions. You can see it's quite interesting. That bird is keeping its head almost perfectly still as its body moves around. Oh, look, it's looking down. Maybe it's seen an insect. So Stuck in Bed has asked a very interesting question, whether rollers stay in South Africa or whether they migrate. So some do migrate and some do stay. For example, this one here that we're seeing, the purple roller, is a resident. It stays in South Africa, but it does move north and south within South Africa depending on the food availability and also depending on whether there's lots of competition. So there's another bird called a European roller, which is a little bit lighter in color. I'll actually show you a picture of one in a moment. And that bird is coming all the way from Europe, central and northern, well, not northern, but central and southern Europe. And it comes all the way down to South Africa and actually pushes these purple rollers away. It's also a very pretty bird, though. So I'll show you a picture of what one of them looks like. So this is, oh, no, that's the European roller call. So that there is the European roller. This one right there. That's a European roller, so you can see it's a little bit lighter in color, very much paler blue in color. And that one comes all the way from southern Europe. And this one over here is the purple roller. See, much darker, but it's also a bit larger. But there's just not as many of them. But it's wonderful to see. I hope for many of you it was the first time you see a purple roller, and it's certainly wonderful to show you it. Gorgeous.
Thanks, Mike. Purple rollers are very cool birds. Definitely far more common to see the lilac-breasted. Well, we've got one of the very, very common and well-known African birds, South African birds, called the go-away bird, the grey go-away bird. We had a very nice image of the barbet for a while there, and, well, he flew away. So, yeah, we'll hear this guy go, quang. Afrikaans name is a kwek fool, because of that noise he makes, quang. Obviously, we hear him say, go away. Looking to come down and drink as well. Off he goes. There's a couple starlings still in the tree, in groups of the glossy starlings, the greater blue-eared, a little bit further down. Here we go. So if you're patient and you spend time at a watering hole, you can be rewarded. Absolutely anything can pop out at any stage and come down for a drink. Not just birds, many mammal species. Leopards and lions also will drink if they're close enough to a watering hole and they feel like the energy to walk there. Hear a few other birds as they're rattling sisticular.
And we have a gorgeous weeping boerbean. It's definitely not whooping because hyenas whoop. And in the shade of this boerbean are some beautiful impala rams. We've got a bit of a bachelor herd here. About 4 rams. chomping along in the shade of this boer bean. With the spectacular horns. Now I've got a spectacular horn of my own here that I happen to find not very far from camp, and luckily for us it's got pretty much most of its structure intact. You can see it's clearly an impala horn. Here are the ridges along it, and those ridges are really important because when the animals are locking horns, you're going to make sure, or this creates friction, so make sure they don't slip as they're fighting. And if you've ever seen them, especially during the rutting season, when they do this, there's a lot of locking horns. So this is very important, these ridges. Now if we turn it around and we have a look here, you can see the different parts of it. So in the middle is bone, and then we have a keratin sheath, which is this bit here. Kind of looks a little like cartilage, but it's very, very hard. And then this here is actually the same thing, it's just dead. And that creates that nice, really thick layer. Jenna, you say, wow, this is awesome. I think it's awesome too. In fact, you can ask any questions about it using the hashtag WildEarth, and I'll try my best to answer it. You can see it's still pretty fresh. There's some redness here. It is blood, because remember, there are blood vessels in this beautiful structure. Isn't this just gorgeous? A lovely impala horn for us. Okay, that was a long pause, everyone. But we are back, and I can talk again. So this is just, I was surprised at the weight of it. I mean, I couldn't, I don't know if I can estimate it, maybe 500 grams? But it feels quite weighty, and whoa, that was very close to my eye. Very weapon-like. You can see exactly why this could be deadly if it gets into perhaps a lion or a leopard. Yeah, they'd want to really avoid that. I'm glad I could actually pick this up and show it to you guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, yeah. So we just got a cheetah now. As you can see, he's just lying down. He had two cubs on the left-hand side. Yeah, that, as you can see, like, she's just checking up, not really up on something. She's just resting for now. As you can see, the cubs are also very relaxed, but she looks very thin at the moment. She's been trying for like almost 2 days. She haven't caught anything yet. It's very tough these days. I don't know why. She keep on losing every now and again. But yeah. Yeah, well, as you can see, like now, this is a beautiful spot where she's chosen now to lie down. As you can see, like, it's good for her to be able to scan if it's any dangerous or prey, what she's looking for. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dumi from And Beyond Pinda Private Game Reserve. Here we are. As you can see, we're sitting down with a beautiful cat here, the cheetah two cubs. As you can see, lovely sunlight, which is a beautiful day for today. Wow, look at that. She's just clinging herself. Yeah, Felix, he's been trying already almost whole day today because it's not very hot. As you can see, we have still enough light for her to try. So she will go for hunting Felix. Yeah, look at the calf sham there. He looks exhausted now because she's been moving all along this place. But sometimes she came to the place and all the nyala just ran away from her. That's why she come up in a nice open patch now to rest for a little bit. And maybe when she decided she's going to continue again moving around, checking up some impala, because there were some impala earlier on when we were looking around here. And just because she hasn't come out in a right direction, if she changed direction, she might have a good luck for that. But also the wind direction is not supporting her. Right, you can see she's just checking around and around, or just sit here and wait and see what's going to happen.
So we've got some elephants who do not have to do any hunting at all because they've found exactly what they want. A beautiful mud wallow. There's a whole herd of elephants that have come down here to Ndlovu Dam, the close dam to our camp here at Pridelands, and they are enjoying a nice hot winter's day spa session. As you can see, kicking up all that mud, throwing it on itself. Some elephants have been drinking. There's a whole family here, including some large males, some youngsters, and some females. Beautiful.
So just ambling along through these grasslands, we got this small group of meerkats. There's only two that we can see now, but there were a couple of others that just popped down that hole. But they seem quite relaxed, although this isn't one of our habituated groups, so we've never put any extra effort into these animals whatsoever. But I guess the proximity to one of these game drive tracks helps get them a little bit more relaxed over time. But it's remarkably different, the habitat in this area that we're driving in this afternoon compared to the other groups of meerkats that we've been following in that group this morning with the pups. You know, very, very, very open areas. Here there's a lot of a much denser grass sward, and I guess that comes at a price for the meerkats as well. Tisha has asked, what are the meerkats' predators? So meerkats will get eaten by a lot of things. Out in our area, in this region of the Kalahari, some of the top predators on meerkats will be things like caracal. Some people call it a lynx. I will draw you, and I know I owe you a picture of a lynx. I've said I will give you one. I will give you a picture of a caracal later. But caracal, jackal, we've seen African wildcats catching meerkats, but then your aerial raptors as well. Things like pale chanting goshawks, martial eagles will easily go for a meerkat. Also then things like monitor lizards, snakes, puff adders, cape cobras. So yeah, these little guys have got a lot to contend with out here. And that's why I was saying, having this nice grass layer in this area is a bit of a double-edged sword for these little guys, because yes, it can conceal them better from predators, but it also provides good cover for predators. Get it says, at what age is a meerkat pup considered an adult? You're looking at about 3 months, give or take, but then it'll be a sub-adult. But then at the ages of being a sub-adult, that animal is already foraging for itself. It's not dependent on the adults anymore. So it's a functional part of the group. And also, 3 to 4 months old, they've pretty much got past that critical point. The ones that we've been following this morning were those tiny, tiny pups that are only a month old. They've still got another 3 months to go, give or take, before they can actually will be actively feeding for themselves. Where you could say, well, if something happens to the adults, that little pup is likely to survive. But I had a really interesting chat with someone this morning, a friend of mine, and we were chatting about what you read as what is the accepted norm in literature. To say, okay, well, a meerkat will come out at about 2 weeks of age. Well, ours came out at 4 weeks. You could say, well, a cheetah will catch X, Y, and Z and won't do X, Y, and Z. But why not? And like being on the ground and actually observing animals, there's absolutely no substitute for that at any time. I'm pleased to see how relaxed these two are. Yeah, I guess the others they went down, and it could even be that there's pups in this little colony as well. And of course, the other thing is when you see lots of grass. Oh, Roshni has just asked a fun question to answer, because Roshni has asked, what is the average lifespan of a meerkat? So that really, in captivity, it would be markedly different to a meerkat in the wild. And I always and it's only partly tongue-in-cheek, because I'm also dead serious when I say it. A lifespan of a meerkat in the wild could be 2 days, or it could be 3 years. It's just, these things are predated on by so many different things that it would be very, very difficult to give an accurate estimate. And the problem again is most of the research that's been done, and it's very good, like A-grade research that's been done on meerkats, has been done mostly in places where there's such intensive human activity with those meerkats all the time in terms of researchers, that you probably find the predation factor is negated there. So, if they say, well, a meerkat gets to 3.46 years old as the average, well, is that really an accurate reflection of what meerkats that have got no human interference whatsoever are likely to reach in the wild? Captive meerkats, I'd have to check, and I guess there's probably a bit of a range on that as well, but I wouldn't be able to hazard a guess at the lifespan of a captive meerkat. Not that there should be captive meerkats anyway, but
Welcome back to Simbambili, everybody, where our glossy starlings that before, looking at them from the wrong side, you could see that they're quite dark in color. Look at how beautiful they are now. And this is called the blue-eared starling. Oh, there's still a couple there. You can actually see, if you look just behind the eye, can you see that very dark patch behind that orange eye? Oh, off they go. Some of them up in the tree there. Still. Oh, there's still one. How beautiful, that orange eye. Very glossy, iridescent feathers. Very wary, looking around, having a drink. And that's it. He's found himself all alone at the water. Oh, there's two of them at the water's edge. There were a few before, but they don't like to hang out by themselves. It means a little bit more at risk. Quick drink, and away again to the safety. It's really a special place to hang out near water. Good pair of binoculars, some water and some snacks. Spend all day counting and watching how many birds come through. Chrissy, they are so pretty, aren't they? When they're caught in the right light. But when the other angle, they're very bland. But we're going to stay here at this watering hole, see who else comes down to drink. Very quiet day at the watering hole today, everybody. We're wondering where the mouse birds are and where all the other smorgasbord of birds are hanging out. It is a starling afternoon. Always a barbet around. He's disappeared. Every time we're about to go live, he decides to book it. It's alright. We'll probably see some mouse birds arriving shortly. But you can actually hear the greater blue-eareds in the background. A very whiny sort of sound. The three very common glossy starlings in the area are the greater blue-eared, the Cape, and the Birchills. Now the greater blue-eared has got that blue covert behind the ear, behind the eye there. The Cape glossy lacks that. What's that, Biggs? Go for it. Oh. Okay. See this one over here. Looks like a streaky-headed seed eater. Or Petronia. What are you? Yeah, it looks like possibly a yellow-throated Petronia. Welcome back live to Simbambili Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where we've got a yellow-throated Petronia that is also slowly deciding to come down and have a drink. Have a little listen to his call. It's just a little chirp. They are insectivorous, also feed on some seeds and nectar. Karishma, it is actually, birds, when they're stressed, you can see the size difference between the starling and the Petronia there. When birds are stressed, they actually make a lot of noise. They jump around and flatter and make what we call distress calls, like these loud chip, 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 chip sort of sounds, and they get flustered. Obviously, there's no way of seeing an emotional side of them, but they do get quite sort of jumpy, and they're always a little bit on edge, especially when they come down to drink. And see, he's looking around. But these are a natural sort of things. These birds will be doing this every day, a few times a day, coming to drink. So normally when they wake up in the morning, birds will sing and declare themselves awake and alive, do some grooming or preening, and then carry on with their day. But they're constantly on edge because there's always threats of predation, always danger coming from some angle. You can see how I'm looking around all the time, trying to ascertain whether there is some danger to be had. And it's probably waiting for a few more of the starlings to go and land down there before it flops down onto the ground. You can see that very nice white stripe behind the eye, and often you can see a very yellow spot on the throat, but it seems to be absent with this fellow.
Welcome back, everyone. We are still here with the cheetah with the two cubs. As you can see, they're just lying down at the moment. They've been some kudu barking from miles away, and she stood up and checked around, but she realized that it's quite away from her, because she's always worrying about the other predators. In tobacco, these cheetah calves about now, about 6 months old. In tobacco. Yeah, look at that. They changed completely now, watching where the sound was coming from earlier. So that might be any other predators make these kudu barking there. But the only thing they're happy about is very far away from here. And it's sitting nice spot. Nice sunshine on them. But yes, they still need to find something to eat later. Whoa, look at that rolling over and yawning at the same time. Wow, my favorite thing with the cheetah, it's just because the way are so smart when they're hunting, because they can use all different kind of habitat types, even in a thick area, and they can use the full speed, like it when they're running in an open area. It's unbelievable. That's why I like it more. They can just live any kind of environment, that's why it make me love cheetah that much. As you can see, that face, it's amazing. That very, very small. Rams, yeah, the way they run, they trying to, but remember, ram, they still have a very short legs, so they won't be able to keep up with the mom's speed, because she's got very long legs. And remember also the footstep will be very different, so they can take a long time to get to be able to run like the mom ran. Interesting that, yeah, because when they're running, you can see they use their full speed, but the problem, the different is their short legs. Wow, look at the way she's lying down. I actually like it because it's even like kind of camouflage. If anything come around here, they won't be able to pick it up quickly, because if the shape, it doesn't look like any predators. Only if the other predators come around and scan carefully, then they can see them. Right, you can see the calves, it's just lying flat. It shows that they're not gonna go anywhere for now. We'll just sit and wait and see what's gonna happen.
From a cheetah all the way up to a lion. So we just managed to find 2 male lions. Or actually, the trackers that were working with us this afternoon were able to find 2 big male lions. Now, these lions are just in quite a dense area, so the only view we can get is from this angle where we are now. So we'll give it a bit of time. Maybe as it starts cooling down, they will start moving into a bit more open area. But for some of the viewers that possibly won't know these males, so this is one of the brothers of what is referred to as the Ross males. So it is the 2 dominant male lions that are currently walking in the central part of and beyond Ngala. And they are also the fathers of those 2 white lions that we have seen with the pride over the last little while. So often with lions in particular, they are very lazy animals and they can sleep up to 20 hours a day. I think with these two males being by themselves, is they probably would have gone through the whole territory to go and probably mark their territory, chase any other young males out of the area, and eventually came down into this really nice dense area where there's a bit of shade to come and lie down for the day.
A wonderful herd of oryx. Some people also know them as gemsbok. And many of you will recognize images of these animals in these absolutely complete desert environments from Namibia. And I've actually been in areas in Namibia where I was even stunned, and knowing the animals quite well, I was even stunned looking at these territorial bulls, and they just got their spaced a couple of kilometers apart each one, but as far as you can see from the air, it's just like nothing. There's not a blade of grass or anything. So these are really, really, really tough animals, incredible survivors. They don't need to drink, they get their moisture from their food. Sophie has asked, and that's a really nice question, and I haven't had a question like that for a while. Are there nerves or veins in the horns? So if you ever have a carcass of really like a lion kill or something on a gemsbok, and you've actually got the head and it's dried out completely, you can actually take that entire horn sheath off, the keratin. You can actually pull it right off, and inside you got this long bone structure which is actually filled with vessels and nerves. So if they do break horns, it will be incredibly painful. Again, it's something that you do see happening regularly, especially on your bigger bulls that are designed for fighting, like these animals with the very, very sharp, straight horns. But normally it heals over, that broken piece heals over, and they carry on. But so very nice question, that. What magnificent animals. These colors are just gorgeous. And they blend in so well with this environment too. So, remember, horns are also different. While we're just on the topic of horns over there, horns are also different to antlers. None of our species here have got antlers. They've all got horns. So if a horn breaks, it's not going to regrow. Remember, with antlers, they actually grow the antlers each season, and they'll drop them each season. Whereas these animals, those horn buds form. They're actually in place at birth, but then the horns start growing throughout the adult or the life of the animal, to a point where they actually start getting worn down more than they're growing. But if they do break a horn, it won't grow back. I saw a gemsbok here the other day. Yes, that was crazy. In its left shoulder, it had about a foot long piece of horn sticking out of its shoulder at 90 degrees at right angles to the body, obviously from a fight. Tough, tough, tough animals, these.
Speechless, Dylan. Dylan, that sounds like exactly the type of thing I would love to see. It really does. Wow, horn is sticking out of its shoulder. Unbelievable. This is our ground scraper thrush. It usually has a partner that it hangs out with. In this particular place, we're on Philemon's cut line. See, it's open on both sides. Nice short grass. Very, very pretty. giving us the look. This is a ground scraper thrush. Isn't it just a gorgeous bird? Standing very upright for us. A very upright stance indeed. There we go. Doing what it's named after. So these guys would be looking for little termites and worms. That's what they enjoy eating. And they scratch about trying to get those invertebrates to shuffle so that they can grab them and eat them. Lisa, you're just commenting on just how gorgeous this bird is. Stunning, sometimes overlooked, but absolutely stunning. And if you have any questions about this gorgeous bird, please ask them to us. Give us your comments, use the hashtag WildEarth. This is happening right now live, so you can get your questions through and we can almost have a chat while I'm here sitting at Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands and the other various locations with the different guides. You can chat to us live. Bunny Hop, you say nice camouflage. Yes, indeed. That kind of disruptive markings is just awesome, and you see patterns like this in nature all the time. It makes animals very difficult to see because you don't see a complete solid object. They kind of break up the outline of an animal. Truly magnificent markings. I quite like its stance, how it stands up so straight. Shenzi, you say this is a new bird for your list. I'm glad to hear it. In fact, you should all take a leaf out of Shenzi's book and keep a bird list while you're watching WildEarth. It is just awesome. Every time, every episode you're with us, we can look at birds together and you can write on a whole list, and by the end of the season, you would have seen tens of birds, some that you may not have even thought about before or seen before. I'm very glad, Shenzi, to have added this gorgeous ground scraper thrush to your list. Hi, Gabriel, you're 11 years old and you'd like to know if this long tail or a long tail in general in a bird has any effect. Yes, it does. It affects their flight. In fact, they use their tail a bit like a rudder, so it affects their maneuverability. So they use their wings that have an airfoil shape. That means it's wide at the leading edge and thinner at the trailing edge. They use that to create lift. And then they use the tail to create direction and maneuverability, and it also reduces drag. Basically means that it helps them fly better. So if you've seen a basileer, which is a type of eagle, a basileer eagle, and they've got a shorter tail, when they're up high in the sky and they're flying, they're a little bit wobbly. And that's because of the reduced tail that they have. Kind of looks like they're balancing on something. These thrushes usually hang out in about pairs or sometimes just by themselves. And it seems that this one is by itself for the afternoon.
So what we've got here is something really, really special. Those of you who haven't been with us before at this particular sighting, we've actually normally approached it from the other side. It's an ostrich on a nest, and this is actually the first time that we're seeing the female lying on the nest over here. So this is really, really, really cool. We have no idea how many eggs she's actually on, because you can actually get a number of females in the area all laying the eggs within the same nest. So this is really, really good that we're actually seeing this. And we've actually seen the male incubating during the day and the female incubating at night. And the typical theories are the males only do it at night, females only do it during the day. But you can actually get a variation there as well. I'm so excited. Now we're going to have, yes, we've got meerkat pups, we hopefully got some lion cubs, we got ostrich chicks. There's a whole lot of things that we can find out here. This may be definitely, well, not maybe, it'll definitely be worth following up on this animal over the next couple of weeks still. Wow. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us on this live safari. And please join us again same time tomorrow, and stay safe. Yeah, so for those of you who have just joined us, it's as always just fantastic. Jean-Andre has been just doing what he does best out here. It's just incredible. Were you saluting there, Jean-Andre? But yeah, my name's Dylan, and Jean-Andre is just on camera over there. And we're just saying that normally we've been approaching this ostrich nest from the other side, and the male has been lying on it. But now we've got the female here, which is really, really cool. We haven't seen any sign of the male. There are some tracks in and out here, but I'm not going to get off because to show you the tracks, because if I get off, I'm just worried that she gets up. And obviously, with any nest, doesn't matter whether it's a sparrow or an ostrich or a vulture, as little disturbance as possible is always the best practice. So the fact that they're actually quite close to the road is nice, because it means that they've got a little bit of exposure to vehicles, even if it's infrequent, and they're not going to move. But it's going to be really cool to see, number one, how many eggs are there, and actually what the survival rate on these chicks is, especially in this environment where it's so dense. Stray says it looks like a very comfy pillow. I don't know what the ostrich is going to think about that, but yeah, I guess it does look like a very comfy pillow. You'll have to stretch it though. Ostrich it. Ostrich. Okay, that was weak, but but so you'll remember that the males are that pitch black color, and it's the females are this grey brown color. So that's the key differentiating feature there.
Welcome again, everybody, to Tswalu Private Game Reserve, where we're just taking a moment out to enjoy the view. My name is Steve, of course, joined by BK all the way over there. I hope you're having a wonderful afternoon. It is a wonderful day out here. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. Just taking a moment out just to observe and enjoy. To delve a little bit deeper into Tswalu today. Just go a little bit in, see if maybe we can find those side-striped jackals we saw yesterday. Maybe a honey badger once again. How cool would that be? I think that'd be very cool. So we've been sitting here for a few minutes on top of this wonderful termite mound, which are so characteristic of this area. The red bush willow woodlands. Here they are. Wonderful autumn, should I say winter woodland at the moment, with still a fair amount of vegetation on the, with leaves. So there's lots and lots of food still for the animals. So we're going to climb back on board, do a little bit of a turn here and there. Let's see what we can find.
welcome back again, everyone. We are still here with the cheetah, as you can see now. She just stood up. I'm not sure if she picked up anything. That's a good sign. She might start getting mobile. Yeah, let's wait and see what she's listening for. It could be around prey, like predators around or prey. But nah, I think she's just wanted to get ready to move. And the cubs they start as well, getting ready too. But I don't blame her also with that sun shining direct to her. It gets nice and warming up. She just wanted to lie down after a long time trying to catch something. Wow, look at this. It's just facing direct to us. It's a lovely, lovely afternoon for us. And the cub is just stuck. I say, Mom, we're going to wait for you and see what you can get for us for dinner tonight. Shem, she's been trying hard today. As you can see, she's very slim. And the cubs are the same thing. They haven't ate anything for like maybe 2 days. So a good thing she's not hurt or anything. It's just because she hasn't been come in a good area for her to hunt. It's lovely here. It's very quiet. You can sometimes hear the sound of a bird calling. Just a little bit of wind. Off she goes. Yeah, looks like she's keen to go now. Yeah, sometimes to be patient is always help. So we'll see what she's taking us to see. But she hasn't really decided exactly where she wants to go. But if she heads straight where she's facing now, direct in the south, she'll be going in the right direction, because we've seen a lot of impala earlier on when we were coming down to this area, when we were still searching. Yeah, keep going, girl. This is the right direction. Wow, good stretch. Wow, she can do yoga too, no problem. Angie, the cubs when they're about like 15 to 16 months, they'll be able to start already hunting. But that's a time where she had a hard time, because she will miss a lot, because they were still trying to hunt, but they just come with the wrong time, Angie. Okay, well, she's follow. Cabo. Yeah, cheetahs all like different, because that's why we always trying to make sure we get a different cheetah. Remember also we have a king cheetah. I don't know if you ever had that harbor. That's not really like all related. Oh, look at it now. I just want to see if she spotted something. The way she's walking, she looks like she might be trying to find something there. Oh, she's just not too sure. Because if you look front of her is like a little bit of a mound. When cheetah always coming into the mound like that, they're making sure they haven't been seen by other animals like predators or prey. That's why I didn't realize she's coming on a spot like that. Because even the bird call, yeah, it looks like she's doing the same thing, sniff on the ground. And maybe she might end up lying down. We'll just wait and see.
So as that cheetah is about to lie down, or possibly could lie down, this male decided to put down its head, and at the moment it is completely flat. The only thing you can see is a little bit of the mane, you can see the ear, and you might even see the sunlight on the rump of this male lion. Now what we're hoping for, it is slowly starting to cool down. With it cooling down, we are hoping that both the brothers would eventually get up and start moving into a more open area. But lions do have quite a bit of patience. We'll have to sit here and wait for a little bit. But I think while we do that, I do have some questions that some of the guests asked us this morning, and we said that we'll go and just look at it and get back to them. So there was a very good question from Charles about, do animals have similar taste buds? And Charles, I did some research about it, and the biggest, or the main answer to that is no, not like, because all the animals will have different, taste buds, and there will be, in people there'll be a certain amount of birds, there'll be less, and then in animals like cows there'll be more. So it varies. So it won't like, animals don't have exactly the same amount of taste buds that people would have. And then there was a very good question from Gizmo in regards to what is the lifespan of vervet monkeys. And Gizmo, in captivity they can go up to 24 years, but in the wild anywhere from 12 to 14 years. So around about what we estimated it to be. But I just thought I wanted to get back while we have an opportunity, because I just thought maybe there's not a chance to see the vervet monkeys on our drive, or even talk about the taste buds. But you can just see, like, this lion blends in so well with the grass. I'm just amazed that sometimes if you do walk and you do stumble across these lions, it's almost until you on top of them before you actually spot them, because of how well they're camouflaged. Now, Angie, with the male lions, it all depends if they are with the pride or not. But if these two would make a kill, they won't necessarily call the pride. They will feed as much as they can, and then only once they finish, they'll start following the pride again. Normally what happens is they will try and follow with the pride, because they know that if the pride makes a kill, then at least they have some like food to get from there. But normally, from my experience in the bush, is that every time a male lion has killed something away from the pride, he won't necessarily call the pride. However, if a pride makes a kill, they'll often call the males. It's just so peaceful at the moment. You can barely hear a bird. I mean, the only thing now and then you can hear is, as this lion is sighing out, you can hear that deep breath. So I'm busy with the youngsters. I do think that hopefully they're still alright. So the other day, when I say the other day, this was a week and a half ago, we saw the young female and the two young cubs, and they looked like they were in a really good condition. But then ever since then, we only saw the female. Remember the other day, I think it was 6 days ago, we saw the female but without the cubs. Now, we haven't seen the cubs during this whole time, and I wonder now if they might have moved with the pride. So the pride currently is crossed out on our western boundary, so they've moved into the Tswalu Reserve, and what we're hoping for is, as soon as they come back, is that the female with the youngsters would have joined up. We haven't seen any tracks or signs of the youngsters, however, but you never know if they've been successful and hunted somewhere that the pride or that young female could have then joined up with those youngsters on that side. We just don't know. We haven't been lucky enough to see the tracks. And also the other thing is we haven't seen that female with the pride every time. So it's a good chance that she's still hiding them away and then still going to feed them. And if she's successful on a kill, she'll go take them there, not necessarily to the pride. But I think once ever she's, when there's a lot of pressure on her and she's not able to find, she often joins up with the pride because sometimes the success of hunting is a lot bigger. And then from there, she'll head back to the youngsters. So I think as the viewers are waiting for this, so are we. And hopefully within the next week or two, we'll be able to see if those youngsters are at least all right or what's happening with them. But I think for now, if we don't know where the pride is or if the pride hasn't crossed back in, it's really hard to say what's going to happen or if they are still alive or what's the whole dynamic there. But I think that's often that whole anticipation that we could wait for.
So we have a group of wildebeest here on Impala clearings at Pridelands, and they're the same wildebeest that we saw yesterday morning that got chased by those lions. All the members still seem to be there, all 7 of them, which is good. Not for the lions, but for the wildebeest it's great. And you can see there the bull, the dominant male, he's watching us. He's very, very wary of us because it's blowing very windy. He can't really smell us, and the sun is right behind us, so he probably struggles to see us as well. He just knows that there's something here. So he snorted a few times just to let everyone know, hey, I've seen something. It's only us. His warnings are falling on deaf ears, it seems. His females are not interested, more interested in the food. That one wildebeest right at the front has got a very, very big belly. I wonder if maybe she is a little bit pregnant. That would be interesting. The one at the back as well. It makes sense, early stages of pregnancy. We've got about a 7.5-month gestation, so it means they'll give birth somewhere around December time, maybe late November, when the spring grasses are coming out and everything is beautiful. Yes, the blue wildebeest. Of course, the other name is brindled gnu, because of that dark and light coloration around the shoulder there. It's called brindling. Not actually sure why it looks like that. I think it's just the fur has slightly different growth, so it looks like this darker color. Amazing animals, though. They don't look very majestic when you see them like this with their heads down and their sort of oddly proportioned body. But in actual fact, they're one of the very, very fastest of all the antelope we get here. Incredibly fast. But their body shape is really lending itself to movement over long distances. In southern Africa, there used to be migrations from the coastal regions around Mozambique all the way up to the high veld, and even further west in South Africa, of huge herds of wildebeest and zebra and springbok and all sorts of animals. Of course, nowadays with the fragmented ecosystems, we don't have that same huge migration, but the animals are pretty sedentary. They get looked after in all the different game reserves. They always make sure they've got all the necessary things that they need. They don't have to migrate anymore. Roshni is asking why wildebeest are also called gnus. Well, wildebeest is actually quite an Africanized name. Gnu is what they're called synonymously with the rest of the world, because of course there are wildebeest that occur all over Africa, and so they're called gnus. That's the scientific name. I think that there are, I don't know how many different subspecies of wildebeest. So in South Africa, we've got the white-tailed gnu, and we've got the brindled gnu. So this is the brindled gnu, and the white-tailed gnu is found in the high veld regions, the very grassy areas in central parts of South Africa. And they look a little different. See what this one looks like here with its dark mane and the dark tail. Well, the white-tailed gnu has a very, very light mane and almost a white tail. And they're very, very different in their size. They're a bit smaller, and their horns don't go out sideways like these gnus. Their horns actually come out sideways and then point forward, which is very interesting. And they're also known for being a little less placid than these blue wildebeest or brindled gnu. They're known for being a little bit more feisty. So you'll often see them running around and chasing things, and even in some areas where people often do like foot safaris, walking safaris, sometimes if they come across the white-tailed gnu at close quarters, it can be quite scary because they'll come and investigate at high speed. You can imagine these animals are not as big as buffaloes, but still very strong. If you look at those shoulders and that neck, a lot of power, and those sharp horns, they can defend themselves if they really need to, if they feel like they've got no other option. Not an easy animal to take down, unless you're a huge pride of lions or many African hunting dogs or wild dogs. They can take them down pretty easily, but a single lioness or a leopard, for example, it might be very tough. I don't know many leopards that will catch a fully grown wildebeest like this. It would be very unusual. You can see how they're focusing on the very, very shortest of the grass. That stubby nose and mouth is really perfectly designed to eat the short grass. Well, this is beautiful. Let's just stick around here for a little while and see what else they get up to, if anything.
Thanks, Mike. Well, indeed, they have designed to eat the short grass, as are the impalas, who feed right down, low down on the ground. And you can see that these individuals are actually selecting to eat the grass off of the termite mound, because the termite mound is very nutrient rich, and the grasses that grow there will be higher in nutrients, sweeter, as you would call it. Even species that occur a little bit closer or further away will have a different nutrient composition. So you often find termite mounds being heavily overgrazed by animals like impala and wildebeest. But a very important animal that actually opens up the vegetation and chops it down nice and low for the wildebeest is these guys right here. And it's why the migration is sort of headed by the zebras, and they sort of open up and facilitate areas for the wildebeest if there's no fire. Obviously, fire does a very similar role. So fire chops the grass right down again, causing it to flush, which is exactly what the wildebeest like. The zebra quite like it as well, but they're also able to, with teeth at the top and bottom of their mouth, chop the grass quite low down. A term called facilitation, and they actually make the grass more acceptable to animals like topi, hartebeest, as well as wildebeest. Wonderful little herd, isn't it? Out here in the open areas of Simbambili. Yeah, and they're not far off actually. In size, they really are a very similar sort of size. I mean, the plain zebra gets up to 250. They to me they look a little bit smaller in the Mara, but they are the same species, although you would call them a subspecies. These zebras and the Mara zebras, they seem to be a bit smaller up there, and it's hard to gauge because the zebras look quite fat because of the gas inside their tummy. And male wildebeest get up to, on average, a similar sort of weight. And obviously you get female wildebeest as well. It's a little bit lighter. And then up in Kenya, you get the Greaves zebra, which actually much heavier, almost 100 kilograms, almost up to 400 kilograms in weight, which is quite a remarkable size. Talking about zebra weight, the Nkuhumas apparently last night fed on a zebra on Torchwood. So that firebreak and cheetah cutline that we've looked at many times, that's attracted the zebra the last little while. The Nkuhumas have managed to hunt one of them. These three are looking very serene. Wonderful light. It's getting to that delicious hour, everybody, where the light starts to get very yummy on these zebras. Hello, Shenzi. That's a good question about what is the purpose or the advantage of the mane. And well, one thing that you can tell with a mane is you can tell the zebra's condition. If the mane is standing up erect like that, the zebra's in good condition. When they lose condition, their mane starts to fall down. But what the actual purpose of it is, it possibly keeps the sun off of the back, off of the neck area, maybe keeping the blood that's going up that part of the neck up to the brain cooler. I'm not sure. You'll notice zebras are able to stand out in the heat of the day when most other animals will actually find shelter. The zebra's cooling system on the body is quite good. But the actual purpose of the mane, I think it just looks really cool. Can you imagine seeing a horse without a mane? I think it would just look weird, wouldn't it? So, but the actual reason behind it, I couldn't tell you. A hairstyle, I suppose. If we shaved it off, I think that'd look rather strange. Good question. Some adaptations in nature aren't always fully understood. The actual purpose or design behind it. I'm sure there must be, and maybe one of you out there knows the purpose of a mane. I couldn't tell you what it is, but it makes sense to say a little bit of sun protection. Just breaking up the ability of the sun to burn the top there. Like our heads, we have hair on our head. Most of us do. To prevent our heads getting burnt. I don't know, stuck in bed. Now this time of year we seem to be seeing more of them around, but they're not territorial. The zebras move in relation to food. It's a male defending a harem, or it's a group of nomadic males. But I don't actually know how many zebras are around, how many herds there are around. It's a very good question. I mean, here on Simbambili, I see a herd of zebra every now and again. I'm not here every day, but they're constantly moving. We have tracks coming in and out. On Cheetah Cutline, as I said, at the moment, there's lots of zebra hanging around there because of the burnt area. But they follow the grass, as wildebeest do as well. The migration is all about following the green grass. But how many exactly? I don't know. I'm not going to guess for you, but I'm going to maybe try and get another view moving up shortly. We'll be right here.
Good. Can you hear me now? Got you! Okay, sorry about that. I wasn't getting undressed, just so. So when we're thinking of ants' nests, we typically think of like a termite mound. Okay, like a big structure, or sometimes they're underground, or they're eating your books, that kind of stuff. But if you think of typical ants, okay, your normal things that run around on your counters and eat your food out your cupboards and your sugar and stuff. Okay, you think of those ants' nests as a couple of like grains of sand, or they make these nice, neat little holes in the ground with a bit of sand around them. But every now and again, you get an exceptional nest. And what we found here, and this was purely by accident in this particular area, but is one of the most beautiful examples of an ant's nest that I've ever seen on Tswalu, in fact, or anywhere. Look at the size of this mound, and I'll lie down here next to it to give you some idea of just how big this ant's nest is. Okay, the genus for the species is called Myrmicaria. Okay, they are known as drop-tail ants because they do have a habit of keeping the abdomen down like that, especially if they get disturbed. There's none that are active out here on the surface at the moment, so they're probably still underground. A lot of these things will come out, even going into the evening time and that. But just look at this immense mound of sand. And if you think, you must know how tiny an ant is, how little an ant weighs. And we know, they can carry like 10 times their own weight, but still, You know how many trips over how many generations this ant colony must have been going through to actually... There's some drop tails. We've got some live ones here. Jean-Ro, you're going to able to go. Look at this here, guys. Oh, there we go. We've got them. Bingo. This is it. This is it. And they're actually doing some work. You see them on the surface, Jean-Ro? I'm just ducking down so I'm not in the sun there. You got them on the surface there. Those tiny, tiny, tiny little guys. Look at that. And the one's actually carrying, so you can clearly see them, why they're called drop tail ants. Well, it's very difficult, I know, and Jean-Ro's doing an amazing job here, I'm sure. But you can see how they've got the abdomen hanging down like it. So this is a classic drop tail ant's nest. But to see one of this absolute size, the sheer scale of this, is really unbelievable. I'm astounded by this. And I would love to know, and we don't know this yet, how old is a colony like this? Is it one generation that's done this over a couple of months? I don't think so. The sand is solid. This has been here a long time. But is it 10 generations? Is it 5 generations? Who knows? The other cool thing about this is, I was chatting with Wendy just now when I found this nest, just to confirm that I got the names in that right, because I actually couldn't remember it. And I asked Wendy, have she ever recorded this species in her pangolin droppings? And she says she hasn't recorded them in pangolin droppings yet. So that's also interesting in itself, that here you've got these immense colonies clustered under these thickets. So why wouldn't a pangolin actually just get in here and start tucking away at it? Who knows? You know, perhaps they got more formic acid that they give off than other species. I don't know the answer to that. But I'm just really chuffed to see an ant's nest of this size. Imagine having one of these on your kitchen counter. That would probably really upset some people. Sammy Jane has just asked, how big are these ants? What can I give you for scale? Okay, that largest one over there, if you take the tip of your small finger, that large ant that we saw, the one walking away, is only about 1/3 of the length of the tip of your finger to the first joint of your small finger. From the first joint to the tip of your small finger, it's about 1/3 of that. That's about the size that those ants are over there. So these are not big ants, but just look at this amount that they've created, and it's one grain at a time. And what we're seeing here, remember, there's so much movement here because of wind as well, and rain, and animals walking past. So over time, what this mound that we're seeing here is not the sum total of what has actually been dug out from underneath there. So just think of the lattice work, that absolutely incredibly intricate network of tunnels and little chambers and nesting cells that lie underneath this patch of sand that we're on. This is the coolest of cool things to see. Craig says it's fantastic that we've introduced the bush crawl to our game drives. So we're working on it.
So we've got a nice view of a male and female wildebeest here, and I thought it would be interesting to show you some of the differences between the males and females. So first of all, the male is on the right. He's the larger one, and as you can see, it's got this very, very dark forehead. Now there's lots of glands on the forehead. You often see them rubbing their heads on the ground to get some of their scent onto their territory. And the base of the horns, very, very broad and heavy and strong. Not quite as big and strong as a buffalo, but still very, very much bigger than the female. And then there's the female over there. So you see her horns are much more slender, much more slight, and her forehead does not have as dark as the male. She's probably also got glands, but she won't be using them because she's not a territorial animal. So she won't be rubbing her forehead in the mud and the dirt. And then look at the neck on that female. It's quite slender, quite slim. And the male, because he does the fighting, where he has to bash his head into another wildebeest, look how strong his neck is to protect himself from injury and to overpower any rivals. Now this is an extremely big wildebeest, so I'm sure that he's going to be dominant in this area for quite some time to come. It's obviously a great area because he's got a very, very substantial harem of females, and he's sired a few youngsters there as well. So you can see the young wildebeest with its straight horns there. He's doing very, very well. Look at this area, very big open area, nice, lots of grassy plains, plenty of shade in the background with those beautiful leadwood trees. and then there's water not so far away either. So, look what the wildebeest is doing right now. See, he's doing it. He's rubbing his forehead in the ground. Did you see that? Now he might roll around, leaving his body's scent on the grass. Or maybe he's just going to sleep. I'm not sure. Let's just watch him. Watch what he does. See those two patches on his forehead? Those are also glands there. Those two patches just in front of the eyes. Let's see. Is he going to roll? Is he going to do the thing? Oh, he's going to do the thing. There you go, you see? Rolling and getting his scent on the ground and then putting the dirt on his body, getting his scent covered on everything so that any other wildebeest that comes along will know this is his territory. No one else is going to be causing him any trouble. Here comes one of his females, just sauntering past, enjoying the view. So nice and peaceful. Actually, you don't get to see it too often, you know. Normally in southern Africa, you know, the bushveld can be quite thick, and we don't always get to see the wildebeest so out in the open like this. So it's great to see him out in the open and doing what wildebeests do. He's just having a great time. So yeah, scent is an important part of because remember, and visual cues are instantaneous, but they're also limited in distance and time, whereas the scent can last a long time, and passing through here maybe days and weeks, still be able to smell and get lots of information about the really, really important. And there's 3 generations of wildebeest there. Big, strong male, mother, and youngster.
Well, there's a big, strong one right here as well. I got a proper look from this little Ellie. Oh, not so little, but little Ellie. Very curious one. Hi. Usually when you see this, I mean, let me describe it to you first. So first, she decided to give her belly a scratch on a nearby bush, and then sat down a bit like a dog, and then came up very close to the vehicle, gave me a look, gave me what I call a trunk wave, and then walked off. Gorgeous. You usually see, well, it wasn't any type of display of bravado. It was just curiosity. It always made me think, no, this can't be a male. If it were a male, there'd be a lot more posturing. It's a lovely little female. And you would like to know if it's true that elephants seldom forget things. It does appear to be true. Whether it's true for faces or vehicles and things like that, we don't know. But what we do know is that they are very good at remembering things from their childhood. And that's why matriarchs are so important, because they're generally the oldest, largest cows. Doesn't always have to be, but they're generally the cows with the most experience. And that's because in times that are tough, where there's very few resources, they can recall with amazing accuracy places where they once found water, where they dug and they were able to collect water, where they knew it would be green even though there were very little rains, drainage lines and things like that. They were able to remember that sort of thing. Very good at remembering things that matter to their survival and in their natural environment that they have experienced from the time they've been little. How's that work? Using the foot to cut that grass so we don't get any of that root with all the sand on it. Awesome. actually hear her chew. Oh, wasn't that amazing? I can sit and watch elephants all day. I said to Niels when we found them, day made. I am just so happy. This morning I didn't see any, and I'm so glad to see some today. We have a very big cow approaching me and making some drongos very upset as she does so. She'll come round just now and you'll be able to get a view of her. She's just right behind the vehicle. If she moves, I'll let you know and we can get a good view. A small herd. Hi, Gabriel. You'd like to know if any other animals are afraid of elephants? Well, elephants don't have any particular predators. Young calves might occasionally get taken by maybe a pack of lions, but they're so big that it's difficult for anything to scare them very much. But your question is more about who is afraid of them. And with their big size, most animals will try to avoid them. Even if you see predators with elephants around, elephants have the advantage of big herds and big, massive bodies. If any part of a predator had to unfortunately find itself underneath the foot of an elephant, it would be the last thing it saw. So they may not be afraid, it doesn't make them shake and shiver, but they definitely don't want to get on the wrong side of an elephant and don't want to find themselves in a space where they're crowded around just by elephants. There's a little one on my right that we may be able to see, Niels. Let's try it out. And it's just moved towards Mum. But we can try. You just might see our aerial. And gorgeous, apart from our aerial. Well, we're going to try and get a better view. Hopefully they'll stay put for us.
Wow. Welcome back, everyone. We still have our cheetah here. As you can see, she looks very serious now, looking something we're not sure what it is. And the cubs also still hanging around with her. She's covered a long distance now, trying to hunt, which is good now. As you can see, the sun is almost going away. She's gonna try and make sure the cubs that they sleep with a full stomach. And yeah, maybe something maybe it was just a bird. Maybe she just heard something movement. And there was some impala earlier on there where she was facing earlier, but we'll see what she does because it looks like she's more successful hunting now. Yeah, it's so much bushes around, but not as bad like earlier where she was. Here she can able to use these bushes as a cover if she managed to spot something. Yeah, look the way she keep on checking there. I can't see anything. Barbara, yes, the cheetahs, they do mark the territory like a leopard or like lion as well. They use scent marking by urinating Barbara. The calf's just sitting next to his mum, and I'm not sure what she's thinking to do now, but she definitely she's looking to find something. Look how beautiful these eyes. And wow, so cool. This is a cool sighting. Looks like she's just standing by for now. I'm not sure how long she's gonna be, but we're not gonna leave here for now. We'll just stay with her and see.
How awesome. How awesome. Well, we've found some delicious light this afternoon, everybody. We've moved on from our zebras and we found the two culprits that are responsible for overgrazing these areas. A nice little herd of wildebeest and a little herd of impala. Hello, Sophie. You want to know why there's so many shapes of horns? Well, basically, it's all got to do with the species. For example, impalas only fight with impalas and wildebeest only fight with wildebeest. They will, some of them, use their horns to defend their youngsters against predators, but horns are a species-specific thing, and the way that the horn is designed, in a way, is supposed to work so that it locks with the other animal's horn. If it was designed in a different way, it could quite easily cause severe injury every time, when actually they want it to be a physical process rather than a killing process. So horns are designed to sort of lock with each other rather than to just cause complete damage, which is what they will do against a predator. For example, a buffalo against a lion. The lion will be in big trouble if that buffalo catches it. But another buffalo pushing another buffalo, their horns actually lock quite nicely. And that's a way that that species has evolved. Impala, for example, their horns have got these very nice ridges along them. And when those horns get together, they actually lock without slipping, which is a very, very important process because impala's horns are quite sharp. And if they slipped, well, there wouldn't be too much in the way of competition. It would just be who can stab the other one first. So there wouldn't actually be a physical process behind that fighting. It would be just who could stab someone. So if we were in a sword fight and I pulled out a dagger and stabbed you first, it really doesn't matter who the better swordsman is, does it? That's a good example, I think. So I was just double checking, and wildebeest, big wildebeest male here, 200 kilograms, whereas a big zebra male gets up to 250. Does he want to know if goats are a type of antelope? I don't know, actually. Probably. Domesticated. They don't fall in under any wild category anymore. So goats have been domesticated for a very long time, so they fall under livestock. I suppose cows are bovids or bovine. So I suppose goats would also be antelope in their own right. I know of some people who've called impala red goats before because they eat everything. They've got the similar digestive system. They've got the similar hoof structure. So yeah, I suppose you could call them antelope, but I've never in my life thought about doing that. They do fall under the domestication category. Wonderful light. There's the boy on the left there, BK. Can you see him? He's just moving to the left. He's herding everybody. Those horns, how much smaller he is than the wildebeest. See those ridges on the horns? They are designed to not slip. And when impala males turn and headbutt each other, those horns lock very importantly, and they hold each other. If they slipped, very, very lethal. They slip through the cracks. He's a bit late though in the race. All those females are invariably pregnant. There will be a second rut coming through shortly, or August, September. Some females that slipped under the radar and did not get impregnated in the last rutting season. Be a small rut again as some of them come into estrus. And it's not as huge as the rut we see earlier in the year, but it does still happen more vigorously sometimes, or some years than others. Joy, without water they would die, but they would have to move in relation to water. But the migration routes have been curbed. There's no more migration, and migration is over a long distance, not necessarily a very short distance. So they would move to other areas in the Kruger, but then they would probably become quite sedentary in those areas. Hey? The wildebeest, yeah. So Beaker's not hearing you there. There's a car going to bomb the shot behind you there, Beaks. Hopefully not. So they will move, but they'll stay pretty close to water. Pretty close to water. Okay, gentleman over there wants to talk to me. He's got something for us, so let's just zoom back there. Okay, we're going to go down and have a little chat with my friend here. Hopefully he's got something rather special.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
I hope that there's something going on. Lots of the action has been on Torchwood and Buffelshoek today. But I think that this baby Ellie is action-packed. Look at that trunk go. It will take this baby, oh, well done, a year to 2 years for that trunk to be fully maneuverable, in full control of the elephant which it is attached to. Sometimes it seems to have a mind of its own when you watch them, especially for the babies. And you watch an adult use their trunk, and you just see, wow, such dexterity. Mina Moo, you'd like to know how difficult is it for elephants to digest dry grass? Well, elephants are not ruminants like ruminants that we see around, like impalas and things like that. And rumination is a really good type of digestion for vegetation, because you are not doing any work. The microbes in the rumen are doing all the work. And because you can let it sit and digest for a little while with the microbes and bring it back up and then physically break it down again, it's a really good way to get as much nutrients as you can out of plant material, because as animals, we don't have a capability on our own, as mammals particularly, capability on our own to be able to digest cellulose. And cellulose is a is quite a complex molecule, and that's what makes the cell walls in plants rigid. So for an elephant, without that, it has to process quite a lot of food mechanically. So they've got big, almost brick-sized teeth, and they chew and chew and chew. Now grass, particularly, as you're asking me, Namu, have little tiny silica kind of flakes in them. We call them phytoliths, which literally means plant rock. And that's what they are. And they can be very, very bad for the teeth of an animal. It's kind of a defense for the grass. And so as the elephant chews and chews and chews, they can wear down their teeth very, very quickly when they're eating just grass. Then once it gets into its stomach, it is just the digestion that's gone on in the mouth and digestive acids. And the microbe part of it only comes in at the end, which still allows them to digest materials that they couldn't afterwards, but not with the same efficiency as a ruminant can. But what it does allow an elephant to do is to eat and eat and eat and eat. It can stuff themselves with low quality vegetation. So in a time when it's really harsh, an elephant can get a lot of low quality vegetation into them. But their digestion is not thorough, nor is it of a high quality. There's some elephants. Okay, all good. I just saw elephants running towards me on the road. Yep, okay. It's just that we're at a particular spot where there's a turn, so I've got to be a little bit sharp if I need to suddenly reverse. But it seems all good. Back to digestion, the ruminants cannot stuff themselves because they have to chew their cud and then digest it again. They cannot eat a lot in high volume all the time. In fact, not at all. So they can only have a certain amount, but they can get the most nutrition out of it. So in short, elephants will have a tough time digesting dry, unnutritious grass.
So another animal which is eating, or not actually very dry stuff anymore, it's eating quite wet leaves, is this beautiful, majestic kudu bull. Isn't it magnificent, eh? Huge bull, and it's my favorite antelope, actually. I think they're so huge and powerful, and they're very well known for jumping very high. Now, these are browsers, almost exclusively, where elephants that you were looking at before are mixed feeders. They'll eat a bit of grass and a bit of leaves. This kudu bull is only really eating leaves. I suppose there's no reason why it couldn't accidentally every now and again decide to eat a little bit of grass, but what it's really after is the green leaves, like these ones here. I can't actually tell what tree that is. I think that might be a tree wisteria. It is a tree wisteria. I didn't think they were very palatable. That's why it's still got green leaves at this time of year. But maybe this kudu, because there's nothing much else, is forced to eat stuff that it wouldn't usually like to eat that much. I don't know if any of you have wisterias at home. I know they're incredibly beautiful when they're flowering with these huge purple drooping flowers that look like bundles of grapes. It's Bolozanthus speciosus is the scientific name. I'm sure a lot of you probably have seen these on lining your streets and in your homes because they're very, very beautiful. And this kudu is being selective. Look, I'm smelling different leaves and deciding, nah, that's not good enough. I'm going to go for these ones. It must be so difficult with those huge horns having to try and squeeze under the trees and bushes. They must get tangled all the time and stuff. Actually, when kudus are running at their full speed, they have to tuck Tammy says these leaves are the caramel creams of the bush. I'm not sure about that, but they certainly seem to be enjoyed by this kudu. Oh man, he's coming out into the open. That's amazing. We never get to see kudus like this. He's walking straight towards us. Look at those huge ears. Slowly listening around. Because remember, kudus usually live in quite thick areas, so they need those huge ears to be able to hear what's around them, because they can't necessarily see them very well. And those big horns, living in a thick area, as I was saying before, they have to sometimes lean them right back against their shoulders when they're running to not get them tangled in the branches. And those mane on his back and on his neck looks so awesome with the sun behind it. It looks like one of those cowboys, with those tasseled pants as they walk through. Howdy, pilgrim. These kudus are actually quite often known as the ghosts of the bush because they tend to blend into the bush so well. Look, when it goes behind the bushes and trees, it's almost completely hidden. Those stripes on its back. Oh, it's walking into the sunset as well, like a Western movie. Wow. Such a cliche. The markings on its face are called chevrons, also help to break up the outline. Oh, he's going to disappear. Goodbye, Mr. Kudu. Absolutely spectacular to see those huge antelopes. We never really get to see them that often. He's going to cross the road right behind us, but if I move the car now, he's probably going to get a fright. It's been quite amazing to see that kudu up so close. Normally they hide in the bushes. Normally they stop, they freeze. And I actually said to Gerrit when we first saw it, we needed to reverse back a bit. I said, what's the bet that it's going to run away as soon as I reverse back? And it didn't, which I was very surprised about. But it's very awesome to see kudus doing super, super well. In this area, we've seen so many small herds of kudu, females mostly in herds, the males often just on their own. And we're not far from Leopard Dam, so there's a bit of water there. And although kudus don't really need to drink water every day, they probably will drink every now and again. I've seen them often coming in the heat of the day, when most of the predators are not active. The impalas, kudu, zebra, all those animals come down and drink. And the kudu, I've seen them come down during the day as well. See, this area here has got quite a lot of green vegetation, so it still has quite a bit of food that the elephants, and that the kudus and elephants would like to eat. So if I stop at these green trees next to us over here, these trees don't look very, very palatable to us, but if you can get to them, these leaves are very nutritious. This is actually called a flaky bark thorn, or Vechelia exuvialis. And although it's covered in these spiky thorns, that usually tends to mean that a tree is very, very nutritious, because it needs those thorns to stop itself from being destroyed completely. Remember, if it didn't have those thorns, animals would have utilized this thing completely and it would be completely dead. It's awesome to see this little area. Actually, you should drive here more often, because it seems like there's a little bit of life here in this otherwise dry and dusty bushveld.
And some light here on our beautiful elephants. They're spread all out and slowly making their way to Gallego Pan. The fact that they're nice and spread out and the youngsters are left by themselves, they're not just kind of on the heel of mum, tells me that they're feeling very safe and secure. Whenever there's a predator around, they tend to bunch together, and the youngsters will be very, very close to mum. I was just about to say that looks like trouble coming through there and saying, hey, I'm a little bigger than you, let's have a play fight. And this side we have some very careful eating of the buffalo thorn. And over at this tiny one on this side, the light is just catching those beautiful little hairs along its body. Very, very good. So careful about what it eats, this particular individual, picking only the finest of leaves. No branches for you, no. And there at the back we have more sophisticated use of the trunk. Vivid, you'd like to know how large, can an Ellie's trunk actually get? Gosh, in terms of weight, I wouldn't know. But in terms of actual height, I would say that its shoulder height would make the most sense. I think for me, I don't know if you guys can see it, for me the shoulder height looks like the height that the trunk starts at. Yeah, I think so. So that would be about 3 meters, or between 2 and 3 meters for a cow and 3 meters for a bull. Maybe just below, because the shoulder is kind of at the same height as the eye. I'd say a meter. I'd say 2 meters. Definitely longer than I am for a nice big bull. And if you think that tuskers, the ones that have the really large tusks, their tusks measure at 1.5 meters, and their trunks are still longer than that. So definitely exceeding that. I love when they have that little bounce, especially when they walk on the road, because they've been walking along in the bush and it's uneven, and then they get to this even surface and it's a bit like, kind of, I imagine like getting on a travelator when you're like, whoa, I'm walking on air. Let's see if I can move forward a little bit. Everyone's fairly far away, so they shouldn't get startled. They've been very, very relaxed. I hope that we'll be able to get them at Gallego Pan having a drink. Okay, let's have a look at this youngster. Oh no, those leaves are very dry. Oh, I can't imagine that that is A, very tasty, and B, very nutritious. You're making poor food choices, little Ellie. But it's okay. We all learn. Oh, that's better. Something with a bit of green. They're coming from all over the place. Oh no. I found one. Oh no. This little, oh no, it's fine. I didn't want to swing Niels around very quickly, but there's a little Ellie that got one ear caught in the branch of a tree, but it's made it out. Couldn't move its body, but it's trying to move its little head and get itself out. It was successful. By the way, I did go past the hyena den, everyone, and heaps of activity, like I told you, they're definitely using the den. And as I approached, and I thought, oh, there's nothing there, and then I turned around and I looked at the den entrance, and there was Corky's little tiny cub's head, and I was very, very, very excited. But it was it recoiled very quickly back into the den. As you know, we can't stay there with no adults around. But hurrah, Corky's cub is there, and the den is still active.
And there's cubs up and down over here as well. So we've just been following some, okay, no, we're not following. Let me just put that in perspective. We have some very old lion tracks here. So we're just ambling around. It's these ones over here. That's the back of the pad. And then the front one. So you can actually just see, and here's another one over here. So you can just see the amount of wind activity over these, and that. So these are not fresh lion tracks at all. But, and they're coming out. There's a cub track. I know you got a little bush in the way, but to give you an idea of the size, let me just move that thorn bush. Ow, what's this? That little one there, that's a tiny little lion track. I mean, it's like not even the length of your finger. That's a little one. And yeah, then you got these much bigger ones over here going this way. But these are not particularly fresh, and I'm after the fresh ones for you. And the only reason I want to try find these cubs, because these cubs are quite small. They'll be a couple of weeks old, maybe 2 months at the most. So it'll be quite fun to see if we can find these. But I think that'll be over the next couple of days. I don't have a cat fetish, I promise you. I really don't. I just enjoy tracking them, or anything else. So I'm just going to keep ambling down here, and hopefully we'll find something else.
That one male just decided to get up, and you can see, like, with him yawning, it's probably a good sign that he is going to get up pretty soon. But have a look at this size of those teeth. I mean, that's definitely an animal that I do not want to get on the receiving end from. You can see what he's doing now. He's licking the bottom part of his paw, and he might just rub that through his face in order to clean his face. Don't also know if he has something maybe stuck inside his claw or on his claw that he's trying to get off. So the whole afternoon we decided to come and sit down here, and there was no guarantee at all with this lion picking up its head, but with the chance of hopefully it picking up its head and we can see it moving. And the bonus would be if it starts roaring this evening, to try and find out where the rest of the pride might be. But have a look at that pad now. Often, whenever we track lions, we always say look out for the 3 lobes at the bottom of the pad. Can you see the 3 lobes? And of course the 4 perfectly rounded toes. It looks like he is licking the back part of his leg. Now we'll just give it a bit of time, because I think it won't be too long before this lion turns its face back in this direction. Maybe even to the front. But it's incredible. I don't think we've seen them for the last little while, and now being able to spend some time. Just look at the size of his teeth. Almost look like the bottom left on the screen, or his bottom right tooth is chipped. Don't know if it's maybe because of him trying to hunt and something kicked him on the jaw. Maybe it's a fight with another male. There we go. So the whole afternoon we were waiting for this moment. So his brother is where he's moving now. He's just lying down at the back. So let's see. Hopefully he'll go to his brother, and then from there on they'll start moving. But I first want to see where he's off to before we move the vehicle. Joshua, at the moment there were 2 males, so I just want to see where this male is going. He's directly behind us as we speak, and the sun is setting just behind him. So what I want to do is just quickly swing around, and then I'm going to answer your question about what other male collisions we have at the moment. I'm just moving forward a bit, try and see if we can reposition. It's so beautiful because the sun is setting behind them. I'm going to try and quickly get into position so I can show you this beautiful scene. Here we go. Now, at the moment, George, with the lions that we do have here, there were earlier on in the year 2 other males that moved into the area, but at the moment, the only 2 males that I would say with a lot of confidence are currently the main dominant ones of Ngala would be these 2 Ross males. The other ones haven't stayed for too long. They were just briefly crossed in and out, and we're not too sure who they are or what they're called. But of course, these ones we've been following the whole time because they have been with the pride for quite a while. Just look at the size of this one's belly. So he had quite a decent meal. Oh, I think he's just going to relieve himself there a little bit. But have a look at that little bit of white patch under his chin. And it also looks like the top left tooth is missing off this lion. Now he has a slightly lighter mane in comparison to the one we saw earlier, and also just judging by the size of these lions and also the mane, so they estimated close to just over 9 years old, and you can see that if you look at their build and how big these lions are. So let's just have a look. It looks like the brother might have already crossed towards the road. So what I want to do from here is let's see how far we can follow him. And as soon as he moves into a bit of cover, we'll try and maneuver our way around to see if we can get another glimpse of them. So with this lion disappearing behind those thickets, I think what we'll do from here is let's just slowly loop around and see if we can get almost on that side of where they are now and get another glimpse of them. But often one of my favorite things to do is to follow 2 male lions on the move. So I think the brother, so there's a road that's just on this side of where we are now. So I think the brother's already on the road. Sometimes lions, they don't really want to go and crash through the bush in order to get somewhere. They'll take the easiest path. And in this case, it could be a game trail, so a well-worn trail, or it could possibly be something like a road. So just want to get to the front here. I think I might even be able to spot the brother from here. Now what's interesting though is we haven't seen the pride in a while, as we explained earlier. So I wonder now, are these 2 males just going to go and mark their territory, tell the other males they don't want them here, chase them off the reserve, or are they actually looking out for the pride? And maybe the pride is an area where we have no idea where they might be, and they might be the ones that could give us an opportunity to find them. Might even be that female with the young cubs that they could be eventually heading off to her. We don't know if they are currently or she's currently with the pride or not. So just want to carefully drive here. There is a river bed just off to our left. I just want to see if these lines will cross through here. Just going to slowly move forward. I could just imagine here we go. Just in front of us here. I'm just going to quickly reposition the vehicle like this. You might just catch a little glimpse of him as he's moving behind that thicket. Now normally with these 2 males, like they do share mating rights. I'm just going to like reposition the vehicle. We'll start up and just move a bit closer and see if we can get the other male. So they do share mating rights. Now often it's so difficult to see which one would be the more dominant one, because it has been observed with some prides the blonde one, or the one that we saw now, would be more dominant. But in other cases, like for example the dark mane one will now lead this whole expedition. So it's very hard to tell. But I actually see some doves flying up at the top here, so I'm sure the brother is just over here.
Oh, all sounds very, very exciting. I am on my way to the den because I've now figured out that they are 100% there. So timing is our issue. So I'm going to check as much as possible, basically. I try not to go too close and just kind of look from afar. But this time when I turned quite close to the den, that's when I saw the little cub. So I've seen lots of tracks, and hopefully they will be at the den. I was just ecstatic to see the precious little face of Hoki's cub, which I hadn't met before. It was so small, but so brave to pop its head out and have a look. Oh, we have an impala friend here. Nibble, nibble, walk, walk, nibble, nibble, walk, walk. Sometimes I feel so sad to listen to the Game Drive radio and everything that happens in areas we can't go to. But, as we say, it ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not, but that's just the way nature is.
So we have been doing a bit of a loop around Leopard Dam. What we're doing is we're looking for some lions. So there was tracks of a male lion in this area, and this morning Gert and I followed tracks of 2 lionesses south from here. So we're wondering if maybe that male isn't trying to find those 2 lionesses. So far we've seen their tracks, but nothing's come out, although the sun has just dipped below the horizon now, and I think that the temperature is dropping rapidly. So that means that these cats that might have been lying up and waiting somewhere will probably start to get active now, hoping that as we drive around we start seeing tracks of theirs popping onto the roads on top of our vehicle tracks, because we've been driving around here a lot. And if that's the case, then we know they must be super fresh, and that's going to help us quite a lot to find them. But right now, these sort of grassy areas, there's a few dips and drainage lines, a few termite mounds, and this is the kind of places they might have been resting during the day, where it's shady. And now that it's cooling down, they'll be coming out onto the termite mounds and roads and open areas, hoping to be able to start hunting. Lots of impalas around here. We saw that kudu earlier, and we've seen lots of giraffe tracks as well. Now, we talked about it yesterday, that giraffes don't often get hunted by lions, but if it's a big group of lions or a strong male, they might try and chase them over this kind of uneven terrain, and that's when they might have a really good chance of catching them. So, we are hopeful. Fingers are crossed. I hope your fingers are crossed at home as well. Love to show you. Oh, very bumpy here. Excuse the bumps, everyone. Love to show you some of these lions of Pride Lands, hopefully this evening. These are the kind of areas they'd likely be. Fingers crossed.
We followed this blonde male, and he came all the way down to this nice open section, decided to come and lie down. The brother has actually gone into the river just next to us. So it'd be interesting to see what this one might be waiting for. Might just be waiting to hear what the brother's doing. Maybe the brother comes back, joins up with him, and then they carry on. But I think for now, let's stick with him, because as soon as there's probably some lions calling distance, we're hoping that we might find this one to roar this evening. That's, I think, is going to be the highlight. Even seeing a male lion like this is absolutely amazing, but the highlight would be that roar, which is very hard to describe. Now, just to give an idea, the brother is literally in the direction that this one is staring in now at the moment. You can just hear there's some impala alarm calling quite far off. And I think that's, as the brother's moving, he's not really worrying about a hunting opportunity, because you saw how big those bellies were. So I'm sure they probably had quite a decent meal. And so now, probably just moving to either, as we said, mark their territory, or to try and join up with the females. Striped bulls with lions, often with, especially the males, if there's other males that move into the area, they could roar in order to try and intimidate them, in order to try and chase them off. When they're separated, when the brothers split up and they're no longer together and they need to find one another, they can have either a soft contact call, or it might be a loud roar, or if they need to join up with the rest of the pride. Now, normally this time of the evening, often with male lions, now, the thing is, there's never a guarantee that we could find a roar. But the thing is, you need to put yourself in a situation where it could likely happen. And here we have the two male lions in the middle of the territory. We haven't seen any tracks or signs of the pride. So there's a good chance that they also want to join up with the pride, or let them know where they are. And because they're by themselves, they would do that. Often if they join up with the rest of the pride, and they have moved and marked their territory, and now they're on a carcass, the chances are very unlikely that they might do that. So it's a give or take, but I think for now we're trying to put ourselves in that best possible position to hopefully get it. So I think let's just keep our fingers crossed. But the longer that he's just sitting down there, it looks like he's getting more and more tired. You can see those eyes actually closing. But I think while we're having a look at this male, let's try and listen to what it might be listening out to. I'm not too sure in regards to what genetics could play part within the development of a lion's mane. I'm sure it has a lot to do with their testosterone, but I'm not entirely confident in the whole process. Like, I'd love to find out a little bit more about it, but I just don't know enough about it to give you a good answer on it. I'll definitely try and figure out and find out for you. Leave it wild. I agree with you. Lions do have a lot of me time, like especially these males. And the way that this one is just patiently waiting to see what the brother is doing or where he might be up to. But I think, like that hyena we saw this morning, I think even though we think by looking at this lion that there's not much happening, I think this lion is listening out to so much what's happening at the moment. Because, I mean, for us, whenever we need to travel somewhere, we have so many ways of communicating, so many ways of doing different things. But for them, often, the only way that they can actually figure out is by using all these senses. And so hearing is going to be a vital role, and also smell. I mean, unless if something is really close, you won't be able to see it. So he'll rely heavily on hearing and smell. And because of that, he'll spend more time doing both of those than necessarily just moving around. And it is getting to that time of the evening where the air is seems a lot thinner. It is cooling down, and sound will normally travel a lot further. And I think it was Mike that made a comment about sometimes in the early morning, late afternoon, you might sometimes hear lions, if they roar, as far as 8 kilometers away. Listen, he's actually calling. So he was just about to start roaring, and I think that Impala started alarm calling. We'll have to spend another minute or so, but I think it's not going to be too long before we're going to get a roar from him. So let's hope that that wasn't just a contact call, but it actually wanting to roar. How amazing was that? I don't know if you could hear, you can clearly hear him roaring, and then the brother was here, and the riverbed just off to the left. Oh! Down he goes. So how was that, like one big roar? I don't even think it was like the full capacity of what he can actually be capable of producing. But then after that, immediately just turned around and decided to lie down. So I think it's really worth it staying here for the next little while, hoping that we can get another one of those.
Come on, pronk for us, pronk for us. Oh, just before we stopped, this springbuck came. There we go, there we go. Oh, come on, that's like, oh, there we go, come on. They made this like half-hearted attempt earlier. There we go, got a little bit of a bounce going on there. So that's called pronking. And it's very, very typical of springbuck. And it's spectacular. You get these massive herds sometimes. You can get just thousands of animals occasionally. And when you see them all pronking along, like bouncing along like that, it is absolutely incredible. And they actually flare up the hair on the back at the rump over there. Chandra, calm down. But it's got a beautiful smell. It's a very, very sweet scent. When that fur's extended like that, and it almost looks, it's weird, it almost looks like they're wearing nappies. I know it sounds really crazy, but that's really what it does look like from a distance. Oh, I'm just loving this. This afternoon has been so quiet and peaceful, and yeah, I've got no particular plan now. Is there anything anyone wants to see? You pronking. No, not Jandre. Calm down. Yes. Sorry, Genre is a real heathen sometimes, eh? Wait, there's something. What is that behind those bushes there? There's something moving from right to left there, Genre. There, it's a gemsbok. Yes, an oryx. Just for a moment, I thought I was wrong, but I was wrong. So, fuck, wildcat. I still owe everyone a wildcat, eh? I am well aware of this fact. And an art wolf as well, after I messed up the last potential sighting. Strapel wants to see the art fock. Yeah, we might get an. Butterfly would like to see Bigfoot. Unfortunately, Genre is behind the camera at the moment, so there we go. There we go. There you go, Butterfly. You got your wish. But on a semi-serious note, let's keep on driving up this road. The temperature now is dropping. Now it's not cold. It is a beautiful temperature now. It's very, very still, very calm. So I think if we start moving up into these open grasslands, we're in for a chance of an aardvark. But also, we mustn't forget to, even though we focus on things like that, we mustn't forget to concentrate on like the smaller things like African wildcat. And these are incredibly cryptic little animals that often sit under the shelter of bushes and that, so they can be quite difficult to see. But we'll keep our eyes peeled for them. So you never know what we'll find on these little excursions. But it's just a glorious day out here in the Kalahari. I mean, it's like every single day out here is just the best day. And it's I know I do keep saying it, but I really wish that you're all here on site with us, because it's a very, very special environment. So. And and then for our game drives, what to do is we've got a tractor with a long trailer that takes about 200 people, so you can all join us for one side. No, I'm just kidding. Eh? Don't panic, everyone. It's just a joke. So we're going to keep on ambling up along here. This is a great time of day. So Ian has asked a great question. Do other antelope pronk like springbuck do? You get another... Okay, there we go. We've got some more springbuck out here on the left that are going to come out through the open area. Let's just give it a second. There we go, in the fodder. So that's not pronking, that's just running. But I don't know, we can just see him disappearing there. So you got other animals, and it'll be amazing if we can show you that. You get another behavior called stotting, S-T-O-T-T-I-N-G, and that is, you know, when springbuck pronk, they often put their heads right down like that, and big groups do it together, and it's not necessarily in response to predators. Okay, it's more of a social thing, but what other animals do, as an example, things like hartebeest. Yeah, it's a lovely russety red color antelope that got you almost the color of the sand. And what they do, they exhibit what we call stotting, and that is really insanely cool to see. If there's the threat of predation, then they've got this stiff-legged bounce. So instead of like cantering away, they actually like bounce like that, especially the young animals, but with their head up. And the thinking there is, it's really advertising that they're healthy, they're in good condition. It just makes a predator kind of think twice about going for them. Wow, what an afternoon, eh? Aardvark time. It's aardvark time. And what about a pangolin? We haven't seen a pangolin for a while. I think we should try to find you a pangolin again soon.
Ooh, ambitious Dylan. But he did say aardvark time, pangolin time, and perhaps chameleon time. I know everyone. I am as excited as you are to spot the reptilian little thing. Hopefully I'll be able to find one. Considering the temperature, it is less than likely, but not unlikely. So we're going to try our hardest to find a chameleon. As for the den, no adults around. I didn't see the little cubs heading in, but it most certainly is there. But like I said, no adults around. Now, hyenas were in Kahuma sighting this morning. The Kahumas had a kill of a zebra, I believe. It was all over the radio that I overheard this. And there were some hyenas around. And you usually find that it's kind of like the adults go out shopping when there's a kill, so that they can eat, obviously. And so on days when there's a kill around, you may not actually see them at the den very much. But in the days following, we should. So I will see them. My luck will get better with the den, I'm sure of it. But for now, I'm hoping for some chameleon luck.
I really hope Tswalu is able to see those little cubs. But early on, this male decided to pick up his head. He actually roared a few minutes ago, but I think it's not going to be long. You can see how he's just lifted up his head now, that he might start roaring again. But often at night, like this is the time that lions do tend to move. And it's also the time when they probably see the best in comparison to some of the prey species that are in the area. But I think if we do spend some time here, we will be rewarded with something. So as you notice, we have gone into infrared at the moment. The light is just slowly starting to fade on us. It's always amazing when looking at a male lion how majestic it is, and also like the sense of power you can get from something as a lion. Now, I can just imagine to myself that this lion would probably be around 200 kilograms. Maybe it could be a little bit less, a little bit more. So that's close to 450 pounds. And I can also imagine how strong he must be. With this, the size of this male, he'll probably be able to take down something as big as a buffalo that would nearly weigh a ton. And so hearing that roar is absolutely powerful. Also knowing like where it's coming from. Cool creators with lions in particular, I don't think they mind with any animal, either if they're awake or if they are sleeping. As soon as there's an opportunity to hunt, they'll take it. I have seen with lions where often if animals, especially at night, if wildebeest are lying down, that they basically try and get as close as they possibly can before they try and then run them down or try and pounce onto them and pull them down. So I would say they don't really worry if the animal is awake or sleeping, as long as they can try their absolute best to get as close as possible before they start the hunt, then they would be happy. You might hear there's some noises in the background, like a so that's from a African scops owl. And then the other noise you're hearing there is a Natal spur fowl that's calling in the distance well. You might also hear there's another bird that's calling like a... So that's from a pole-spotted owlet. It's amazing how we can patiently wait out for just that chance to hear him roar. Because the thing about it is, I mean, it's about a lion. You never know exactly when it's the exact point when it's going to do it. And each individual differs. I mean, sometimes he'll wait for his brother to start roaring. Other times he'll initiate it, and then the brother will soon follow. He just went down. Oh, he's actually starting to roar. Listen. That is absolutely amazing. It almost feels like every bit of the vehicle was vibrating, like even my collar. And this lion is lying down. you don't often see that. I mean, it is like we do see it occasionally, but you don't really often see them lying down like this and then roaring. You could just see that as it was expanding its lungs to get enough air in order to do that. But absolutely amazing. Just to add on to some of the comments from the viewers, that reckons he's pretty comfortable and lazy just lying down like that and having a roar. I can't agree with you more. Normally with male lions, you always associate them with this lion that actually rolls onto its feet and then stands up, and then as it's standing up, it's just starting to roar. So like you can really feel it, and you can also see it. But with him, as soon as he decided to lie down, I thought, oh, maybe he's not going to roar, and then suddenly I was surprised. It just shows you with a lion how unpredictable they could be. Anushka, this Rosmel would probably be, if I had to estimate, maybe 22 meters away from us. So just to give you a bit of an idea, so I mean from just to the end of where the road is in front of us is probably like 10 meters, and that's another 10 from there, so another 2, so maybe 22 meters away from us. But for now, I'm just going to stay here, and hopefully we'll see him roaring again.
Welcome back, everybody, and I know you haven't seen me in some time. We got a little bit lost in the signal depth of Simbambili, and we were spending time with Shadulu, but we couldn't show you because she was in a bad signal spot. So we've come back onto Djuma, and we've decided to have a look at the beautiful, beautiful sky and just allow you all a moment to breathe. Very serene. Okay, BK and I are going to spend a few moments here absorbing this. Let's send you over to another view of the sky.
is just spectacular on every level. I just love how this landscape proceeds into the distance towards the hills, and that burnt sienna just along the crest of the hills over there with that bright orange in the middle. Orange is an amazing color. I think there's a reason why sunsets and sunrises are orange. Well, apart from the scientific reason why they're orange. Yeah. Sometimes you don't need words. They just get in the way. What a magnificent afternoon, eh? No pangolins or aardvark or anything like that, but just this absolute beauty that we're in is more than makes up for having to see anything. Well, what do you say? We haven't seen anything. I mean, look at this. This is just, you can't get better than this. Eh? Lots of digging over here. So all this stuff is actually aardvark that have been digging and scratching around here. So this is good aardvark country. And we saw that brilliant sighting the other day. I was looking at this magic seed pod. Look at this. It's from this camel thorn tree. But look how curly that one is. Cherry says these seeds are all just so glorious. And it's these. Okay, well, this is a different one. But I'm assuming, are you talking about these ones? The what? The seeds. The seeds. I apologize. My hearing is so bad. It is so bad. So for any of you viewers out there that I've butchered your names over the past 8 weeks, I really apologize. It is not deliberate. I promise. I just can't hear properly. But anyway, so yes, these seeds are really short races. These seeds are very, very pretty. But the seeds are glorious. Oh, it's my afternoon, eh? But look at that. Anyhow, look at that beautiful shape on that seed pod. But there's something else really interesting on this. Yeah. I'm going to bring it closer. Jean-Ray, tell me when. Okay, but you can't see the hole in it. Tom, I'm going to find you. Wherever you are, I'm going to find you. Tom wants to see a demonstration of me pronking while I'm shaking this. But you know, I'll do that. And then you'll hear it shaking. That's not going to work. Okay, pronking is done for the day. I have my exercise. Yes. Tom, I know where you live. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's a good afternoon. It is. It's just a beautiful afternoon. For all of you people out there. Chandro's loving this.
So I heard there was a phenomenal performance from Dylan on how to pronk like a springbok. I definitely want to go and watch that again. But this male decided, as we saw him the last time, he hasn't really moved his head. But it's also getting to that time now, because often whenever they are by themselves, it'll be every 10, 15, maybe 20-minute intervals where they'll start roaring. No, we haven't heard anything for the last 5 to 6, 7 minutes. So hopefully it won't be too long and we'll be rewarded with something again. I mean, we can't be too greedy, but being rewarded twice was already amazing. But you can see the way that it's lying down. You can barely see it. And what we're hoping for now is as soon as it starts turning, we might be able to see the movement. But all you can see now is a bit of the back, and like right in the middle of the screen is where the line's actually lying down. And it is so hard to see at the moment. Imagine if you, even as an anti-poaching, had to patrol this at night, how difficult it would be to spot a lion, especially, from where we are, we can barely see them and we're using infrared. Imagine if you didn't have all of that, how hard it would be to see that lion. But now it's just going to be patiently waiting. And if we give it, it might happen, it might not happen, but if we give it a couple of minutes, who knows? Now, often we always try and, think about this, we always try and wait for this lion. Hopefully he'll give us another last good roar. But then, of course, we realize as well that this is a wild animal. And basically we're just a spectator, so hopefully we are just here at the right time, at the right place. But also, if it doesn't happen, at least we know, what we've heard over these last two segments is probably what's going to happen during the rest of the evening. And who knows where they're going to be from here. Maybe they'll be 5-6 kilometers further away. They could move maybe more, 10 kilometers. You don't even know if they're possibly going to join up with the pride during the evening. Be interesting to know where they're going to be going. But I'm sure tomorrow, with Eric driving as well, there will be some updates on the tracks and the direction, or possibly, hopefully, find them or the pride. Actually hear the brother. Sounded like he was starting to roar. So unfortunately these lions don't want to play with us this evening, but otherwise, how amazing was this afternoon's game drive? So from our side here at Ambiyanda Ngala, we just want to say to all our viewers, we hope you have an amazing evening, and hopefully we'll see you here tomorrow morning.